What up, guys? Today I had on Patrick Fransen from purpose-driven incubator and investment fund Pebble Wave. Patrick sold his previous company for double-digit millions, but he doesn't define that as success. Afterward, Patrick joined Pebble Wave as a partner to support the advancement of global consciousness by building and investing in conscious, purpose-driven companies and leaders. These are companies that create massive societal impact without compromising on profitability or personal well-being. Patrick is incredibly insightful, and his approach is to create systems and solutions that can benefit not just the company leaders and those around them, but the entire world. Patrick and his company invest in entrepreneurs that say, yes, I want to be myself, I want to discover my talents, I want to get rid of limiting beliefs and do what I am here on earth to do. If you're someone that's on a journey to add more purpose to your life, to your business, or someone looking for impact investors to fuel your business, this is an episode for you. And guys, if you like the show, please share it with a homie, tag me on social, and definitely subscribe. It truly means the world to me. Enjoy the show. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely, Pat. I always ask people on my show, the very first thing I ask them is, what was your last oh shit moment? What is the first thing that comes to mind? And it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, but something that made you go, oh shit.
Well, I was on a retreat with Eckhart Tolle and had this fantastic opportunity to start a collaboration, a partnership with an organization that's very close to him. And then all things went well, and there was a lot of interest, mutual interest, and it seemed like this was a gift from heaven, meant to be. And then suddenly, for some reason, the interest changed, which was fine. It was probably not a moment at that time.
Yeah.
And then I felt like, oh my God, I have to fix this. And I started thinking of all the fantastic things we could do together, and not realizing that I was clinging on to this opportunity way too much, actually.
Yeah.
And by trying to convince the other party to keep on working with us or find a solution, even pushing them away a little bit, because I was too eager. And then I thought, oh shit, this was I ruined the opportunity myself instead of just letting things happen. And that was a big oh shit moment. I realized it, and actually it learned me a lot about letting go of expectations and desired outcomes when you're connecting to people, and just letting the space open for the right next step to emerge.
Yeah.
So it was an oh shit moment, and at the same time, I learned a lot from it. And when I let go of this connection with expectations and leaving the expectations part aside, many good things suddenly start to emerge. Other parts, other solutions. And that was great.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. I think that, anyone that's if you have an opportunity to work with Eckhart Tolle, and then you just get excited about it and
Exactly.
you want it to happen, right? And so it's a really interesting dance between pushing to make something happen and then allowing it, right? And so it's like you could eventually compare it to like maybe going on a date with a girl that you really like.
Yeah.
How much interest do you show? How much do you try to make it work? And then at what point do you push that person away?
Exactly.
Right. And it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And I like the word that you said, dance. So we danced a little bit. Then the other party said, I take some space. And instead of saying, I leave some space, I ran after it and didn't allow the space to happen for the next pass of the dance. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's just not an easy thing sometimes because you don't know where at what point do you stop, the dance, at what point, and it's
Yeah,
just part of life.
exactly.
But I guess, hey, look, if we're gonna use the same analogy with, a partner, then I think if it's meant to be, it's gonna be meant to be, right? And
Of
so,
course. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
that's great. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. Pat, in 2004, you sold your company for double-digit millions, and in a keynote of yours, in a speech, you're stating that basically this is not success. This is not
No.
success. In fact, it's irrelevant, and I think that most people would be completely taken back by you calling that not success. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, obviously there is materialistic success in it, as it is of course an achievement, and if you just take it on a superficial materialistic level, I'm of course very happy that that happened and that it gave me opportunities that to to get the space financially to do what I really like. But um, my definition of success changed dramatically years before that happened.
Mm,
When before I was not only, but a lot of my time was spent on thinking how could I raise the profitability of the company and do more of the same, and that I thought that I would be happy as a person and valuable as a person if I would have achieved a successful company, both in types of work we did, but also the numbers that the company generated. And by being too much focused on that side, I forgot the much more important and valuable part is, does this really fulfill you in life? And I believe that true success is being able to feel fulfilled as a person and create fulfillment in your surroundings for the people around you, which can be employees, customers, partners, your relatives, family, friends, etc., anyone actually. And that is a much more profound definition of success. And actually, my experience meanwhile is that if you allow authentically, without the grasping that we referred to in the
yeah,
previous question, to follow this true authentic fulfillment for yourself that creates happiness for yourself and your surroundings, that actually it doesn't have to contradict the financial success that you generate. On the contrary, if you truly follow your purpose, like we say, and this fulfillment, you're actually much more valuable as a human being than just chasing the superficial materialistic realizations. And if you allow yourself to convert the value that you bring in as a person, bringing fulfillment to people, also in your business, and translate it into a business model and financial means, you generate even much more
absolutely.
profits and revenues. Whereas that is not the goal in itself.
Right.
It's just something that comes to you to allow yourself to be even more impactful and feel much more fulfilled. So my true definition of success in life is actually purpose realization and fulfillment that you bring to yourself and your surroundings.
Pat, how did you realize your purpose? You said it started before you sold the company. You started
Yes.
realizing that that wasn't the definition of success for you. How did you discover that?
Well, it took me several years, 35 actually to be precise. So I happen to be not one of those people that from childhood know I want to become this or I want to do that.
Yeah.
I've actually been circling around in many directions, trying many different things, and I was interested by a lot of different topics, but uh, together with many limiting beliefs. In my case, very strong limiting beliefs were that I thought that I had to work hard and be smart to be successful, and then successful in this old definition of achievements, materialistic achievements. And it was years before that, when going down that path, I got myself into a really big program at one of the largest customers that I was serving as a business consulting at the time. And that I thought, if I can make it on this program, then I will be successful the old way. And it turned out completely the opposite way. And I didn't understand at all what happened. So the customer, after a year into the program, didn't see the results that we planned for, and he kicked me off the program. Whereas I thought in my head that I had all figured it out, put everything in the right place, worked really hard, came up with smart solutions, etc., etc., and still it didn't work. So that was for me really the mirror that started to make space for discovering my purpose, because I realized for the so much time that the way I had been doing things didn't work. And it was at that point that I didn't realize my purpose yet, but at least I started to ask the two most important questions in life, according to me, which are, who am I and why am I here?
Yeah.
That's when I started to ask those questions and allowing to look outside of what I up until that point had been believing, that slightly answers started to come up. And then through coaching and creating the space for discovery, then I suddenly felt like, oh wow, I get excited by connecting people. I get excited by helping people to realize who they are. I get excited by system changing solutions that can really change the world. And then as these little bits emerged one by one, at some point I had the realization, okay, my purpose is somewhere in supporting this evolution of consciousness for humanity. And as an entrepreneur and a business connector, if I can contribute to that, wow, that would be phenomenal. Would that be possible? And just by saying that and feeling that there is energy in this direction,
Yeah.
it manifested itself.
That's beautiful. That's amazing. And it's what a great journey you had. I think it's really important to consider that it doesn't come right away. Like I think Deepak Chopra meditates. I think he says like 2 to 3 hours a morning, and he just asks himself like 3 or 4 questions before his meditation. And 2 of them are those same questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And then he says something else. And he just sits there for a couple of hours every single morning. Right now, not all of us have maybe the luxury to be able to meditate now for 3 hours in the morning and ask ourselves those questions. But I think it's something that I've asked myself that, and I've actually grown up asking myself those questions, even as a little kid. And even today, I don't think that I'll have clear answers. I think I have more clarity than I had in the past. I think it's important to know and for people to understand that it doesn't come right away. It's definitely a process. And in terms of figuring that out, you're not going to just sit there one time in one coaching session or one therapy session and just be like, who am I? Why am I here? Okay, cool. In one weekend, I figured out my purpose, and now I'm going to go out on Monday and it's going to be all, you know what I mean?
Well,
the process.
To nuance that a little bit and to add to that, in my case, it was a process, but the more that I allowed myself to be myself, the more clearer it became. And it is our experience that if you open up into those deepest depths of yourself, that actually the answer is already there and that you knew it already a long time. And it's the process of allowing yourself to really embody and embrace that purpose that brings in more and more clarity. So I would say I was all directions except for the one that was my path in this life. But as I understood, it's this direction. It didn't change that much anymore. It just deepened and became.
Hey guys, I just want to remind you, if you want to find more content like this, you can visit sebastiannaum.com. That's Sebastian, Naum.com. You can also get a ton of other marketing resources from myself and my agencies, ranging from SEO to social media, influencer marketing, branding, web development, and more. Again, that's sebastiannaum.com. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the show.
Clearer and refined, but the direction was clearly set.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I think I can see how it can be, because you're like, who are you? Who are you? We're getting existential here, but like, who are you really? Like, who am I myself versus who is the persona that others see of me and the persona that I want others to see of me,
Yes,
versus like me,
exactly.
really. There's just so much of that. And I think for me personally, one thing that I've started to come to terms more over the last, let's say, 3 years is that I am a lot of things, that I don't have to be just one thing, or,
No.
right? And it's like, you can be so many things, and so, without being like, maybe like schizophrenic, you know what I mean? Like, but I mean, truly, you can be very different, compartments in the life. You are
Yes.
this as a friend, you are as a father here, as a business person here, you are as, whatever it is, right? So I think that for me, that made it okay to be, that was more myself. I was actually a very multifaceted human that had a lot of aspects of myself that in a way felt strange to show all of that into one, because in my head I was like, no, if I'm this way, if I've been this way for 10 years with this group of friends, then I must continue that, otherwise it feels inauthentic. And the truth is that authenticity actually was being all the different ways.
Yeah. Still, I have the feeling that there's some common ground there, and what we experience as we help entrepreneurs discover what their purpose is that purpose is actually clear, and you know it, but sometimes it's very wide, it's very broad, and it overspans more than just one company, for example. So if you have such a wide purpose, instead of, some people have a very specific purpose, and then sometimes it happens that it gets more clear much sooner. And if you have a more wide purpose with a much larger impact, you also need a lot more talents to actually contribute to that. And our belief in our experience is that your purpose is an extension of your talents, and you already have all the talents that you need to realize that purpose. But if that purpose is broad, then sometimes you need a lot of ways and circling around to develop the talents that you have to actually, on a later age, fundamentally contribute to that talent, to that purpose. And that is, in my case, it's the case. So
Super
I have interest not only in business, I also undertake in education. I'm also talking even to politicians to figure out whether we can build a more conscious, purpose-driven political system. Those are all interest me. And so I did things in all those areas, and then I was wondering, what should I do? What should I do? But all these endeavors that led apparently to nothing earlier in life, skilled, refined talents that I need to do a contribution to all of these domains. And now, in my case, I'm focusing on business and changing the business world to become more conscious, purpose driven. But I won't stop there. I also talk to educations and leaders in that field, and even healthcare, and even politics. And then, it sometimes becomes difficult to see what is the common denominator in all these facets.
Yeah. It's definitely a journey. It sounds like
Yeah.
you're approaching it in very many aspects as well.
And it indeed it is infinite. What you refer to, it is an infinite journey, and we are infinite in ourselves as well.
Yeah. Pat, the concepts that working hard equals success and simple cannot be valuable. These are concepts that a lot of us have grown with. I mean, this is just what we're taught. Work
Yes.
hard, you will receive success, right? You have to work hard to do this or that. Now, you had an epiphany that this was in fact not the case at all. And I
Yes.
dabble with this concept all the time that, flow, things must flow, they must be easy. The easier they are, the more you can manifest, the more value you can bring to others, the more you can create. And it's sometimes it just feels very idealistic and beautiful. And at times it just feels like sometimes you have to do a little bit of extra work and hustle a little bit extra hard to make things happen. Do you
Mhm.
feel that there are exceptions to the concept of flow and simplicity and everything has to be easy? Do you think that there are exceptions that sometimes you do just have to work hard, or you feel like you can always find that way to make things easier and flow more?
Mhm. Wow, that's a good question. I don't know if I have the answer to that. But let me feel what comes up. What comes up is actually something that Eckhart Tolle said in the retreat I just joined,
Mm,
which is um, postponing satisfaction. And what he meant was, or at least how I interpret it, is what we are, and I at least have been raised with, is that first you have to put in effort, and then when you achieve something, then you feel satisfaction. For example, you have to learn to play piano, you first have to learn the notes. You then have to practice a lot, and then at some point you will be fluent at piano playing. And the way he put it was he's saying, well, that's conventional wisdom, and there is a truth in it, because indeed sometimes you need to put in some effort and practice to become proficient at playing the piano. And if that's what you like to do, that's probably the path you have to go. Now, what the risk is with that is that it becomes a pattern, and that you always start postponing satisfaction and don't enjoy the doing throughout the journey anymore. And if you postpone this all the time, then you achieve something, and suddenly you need another goal to to uh, to uh, to create that journey to this satisfaction, and you're always postponing satisfaction. Whereas the true invitation of life, the deeper wisdom, is find enjoyment in what you're doing at this moment. And that way, if you do that, then eventually at some point you become a proficient piano player, but it doesn't replace what happens in this moment anymore. So I think that's a great way of putting it. And if you put it like that, I would say, no, there is no exception
that's right.
at all.
It's
Uh,
reframing. It's
yeah,
reframing the work itself.
yeah. And if
And
I say I don't work hard anymore, and working hard to achieve something is not the way to go, I mean that as you take out all the joy out of what you're doing at the moment, because you think at some point in the future I'm going to be successful,
yeah,
that's really hard. And then you are not aware anymore that you might be on the wrong path, because the signal that you're losing energy and that there is friction and tension, you all link it to, yeah, I just have to put in some more effort. And that's what I meant with, I don't do that kind of hard work anymore. And that kind of hard work, there is no exception to that. That's always a signal that you're doing something that's not for you, of gone too far, or anything else.
yeah, those are great points. Yeah, I've been very guilty myself of getting into that the addiction of achieving things and then waiting for that achievement to happen. And then when the achievement would happen, I actually would not feel as satisfied as I thought,
Yeah.
because I was just waiting for the next achievement. And
exactly.
it's something that
I
I
was
really had
there
to
too.
work on. Yeah, I really had to work on that. And
Yeah.
I think that today, I think maybe even the easiest, a simple analogy for me and where I feel this sort of satisfaction already is even in my physical exercise and working out.
Yes.
I am not waiting for some sort of satisfaction at the end. I actually enjoy the process of exercising and working out. And I know that it's constantly doing good for me. And it's
Yeah.
a process and I love it every time I do it. So it's
Yeah.
not like, oh, I'm going to work out until I get to this weight or I achieve this in this
Yeah.
sport or this, So I think for me, it's been a good analogy in that sense. It's just the process. And
Yeah.
it's so like, people always say it's not the destination, it's the journey, and it sounds cheesy and all that, but it's true.
It's true. It
It
is
is.
true.
It
Yeah.
is. It's
Yeah.
cheesy, but it's true. But it's just because. And sometimes we hear those phrases over and over and over, where they stop meaning things. But then, if you really go back to the basics of that's really where it's at.
Yeah. So for us, the whenever you're in a moment, you ask yourself, does this give me energy? And if it gives you energy more than you put into it, then you can do it endlessly. So I want to say, not working hard that doesn't mean that you don't have to do anything. On the contrary, the things that you love to do and give you energy, do a lot of that. And do
Yeah.
a lot of that. And then you will achieve things, but you're already enjoying while you're doing it. And that is the true flow and energy, and not not the part where you
Yeah.
feel that you have to force and cram things and that
Yeah.
part.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Pat, Pebble Wave invests in conscious and purpose-driven startups. What is your first set of requirements when you're considering a company to invest in that they must embody or have or show?
Yeah. By the way, not only startups, but any company in any geography, any size, any domain. So the true criteria that we ask entrepreneurs if it feels right for them are three things. The first one is, do you want to build your company as a purpose-driven company where the impact on society is the main criteria to take decisions, and at the same time with sufficient autonomy levels so all the people that share this purpose can contribute the best way to their talents to this purpose? That's the first question. The second one is, do you want to get to know yourself into the deepest depths, and are you open to create space and become aware of the limiting beliefs that you are holding that withhold you from actually doing that? And the third question is, do you want to do this in a CO2 neutral way? Because on one hand, we believe that that's one of the crucial challenges we have to solve, or we can solve as humanity. But at the same time, if you enter in this space of conscious purpose, then you feel that you're part of a larger ecosystem, and that taking care of the planet is actually taking care of yourself and taking care of your company, so it benefits all of them. So if entrepreneurs feel, yeah, this feels right, and this is actually how I always wanted to organize my company, then we are very interested to figure out together with them how they can become a conscious purpose company with a commitment to actually realize purpose, achieve fulfillment, unlock energy, and create a safe space where everybody can be themselves.
Love the three questions. And you guys have 6 pillars, right, that a company is required to take on a purpose-driven approach. Can you give us the basic lowdown, the general lowdown on those 6 pillars?
Yes. So the first one is, as a leader, being prepared to show yourself the way you are, with all the good and all the tensed things that you're carrying, and wanting to grow as a person. The second one is this form of organization where purpose is upfront, and also that allows wholeness and contribution at a high level of autonomy by everyone. Third one is more the strategic pillars, like, okay, what is then actually the purpose that we're after? What are we going to contribute to society? What is the impact that we want to make? Translate that into the business model and also the steps how to get there. Once we have that, you can figure out what are the ideal products and services that we need to realize this business model, but deeper to actually contribute to this purpose, to this and realize this impact. And that's the same thing for the commercial model. So a commercial model driven by the authentic purpose of the leaders, if you define it that way, will be another commercial model than the one that's based on market trends and what you read and traditional ways of strategizing, comes up with what's the best growth path for you. The sixth one is the financial model, where the same concept applies. What are the levers to put in place to realize purpose, and with the means that you have, because they will always be limited. There will always be choices to be made. And if you look it through the lens of purpose, you will actually be more efficient and more effective in utilizing these resources. And then actually there is 7. That's actually skills that the people in the company need to work in such a company, which are, you have to organize yourself because you're working at a high level of autonomy. So you have to organize yourself, getting things done, and nonviolent communication. Because if we're going to talk about our deepest tensions and barriers for growth, you need a loving and safe way to talk about that.
Absolutely.
Those are very quickly the 7 pillars.
Do you find that one is more important? I know they're probably equally important, but is there one that really?
They are all important and enforcing one another, but each in itself brings a lot of momentum and value to the company and to the world. I would say we always start with purpose because that defines the direction of the company, and everything unfolds from there. The conscious part is more like is a lever that enables you to actually get there. If you don't work on that part, you're only going to get that far, let's say. And all the other ones enforce the speed and the easiness and the momentum that you're going to gain towards that purpose. So we usually always start with purpose and then derive all the others from there. But it's also obvious that if you can't organize yourself, you can't work in this manner. If you can't talk safely, then you won't be able to, even with the best intentions, to create the space needed to grow as a person. So everything is connected, but yeah, purpose is definitely, if that is clear, then the direction is set, then the momentum goes into focus, and then you can optimize all the other things. Yes.
Sounds good. Pat, you've invested millions into various companies, purpose-driven companies, and some of these companies are doing really well, generating many millions in revenue. So you've had a lot of contact with a lot of purpose-driven leaders, and you have connections with them. You feel that purpose-driven leaders have to face more barriers because they're not just profits, motivated by profits?
At first, I thought that was the case. But then again, the realization is that it's just a limiting belief.
Right.
And that's actually something we test very upfront in the process with working with leaders to get to the surface these limiting beliefs. And why is it a limiting belief? And what is always a crucial tipping point when people start believing is the following insight. Your purpose is an extension of your talents. And talents we define by not what you learn at school, usually, and there are also good schools, but what you in a traditional school as a skill, but a talent is that activity that you can do all day long and gives you more energy than it costs you. So what does that mean? In reality, that means that those are activities for you, they come naturally. And if things come naturally, often you have the belief like, yeah, this is simple. Everybody can do that. But it's not the case. And so your purpose and your talents are things that are easy. But that doesn't mean that they're not super valuable. On the contrary, those things for other people are super hard. So if you do that for other people, those things that don't cost you any energy or give you more energy than it costs, those are actually super valuable. So what we almost always see, and also myself included, is that your talents are not rewarded in the business model. So you have to take that switch, that mind switch, that what's simple for me, what gives me energy is super valuable. And if then you translate it in a product and a service and you charge the real value it brings, then it's super easy. But that's really a switch in consciousness you have to make to embrace and believe yourself that what is easy for you is actually your highest value that you can bring and that you can charge it reasonable in the way. So we always see that if we ask, first of all, entrepreneurs don't see the real value that they bring. And secondly, there is always a ceiling on how much it's actually valuable and how much you should price it.
Yeah.
So if you make that breakthrough, the whole company shifts, and it's actually easier to be profitable with your purpose.
Yeah.
But it's true that it's not a common belief. A common belief is that, well, yeah, you have to work hard.
Exactly. Yeah. So, going back to that, purpose-driven leaders facing more barriers. If you do all that work, that shouldn't really be the case. And so I'll, before I let you go, I'll ask you the importance of, any young entrepreneur out there listening to this. It's, how important is it to go deep into personal development? And I mean personal work in order to become a better leader, as opposed to just, I think a lot of people and entrepreneurs think they have to get better at work with a business mentor or business coach. But how much of that is it really just not the business? It's really that deep inner personal development work that's actually going to make them better at their work.
Well,
that's what we've been talking about, essentially.
Yeah, we often state it. Well, my answer is obvious, but we state it often in the following way. If you take your whole life and anything, and you have to choose anything that you give attention to, your attention to, it should be your personal growth. Because whatever you're going to manifest and realize and achieve or contribute, and that's a better word, is one-to-one related with your level of consciousness, one-to-one. So we often say, and that's not even important, in the grander scheme of life and the universe, if you don't do that, it's also fine, and you're also delivering a contribution to that. But if you have to choose something to devote some attention to, it would be that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crucial.
Yeah.
Just one nuance: your process is your process. I couldn't have had this insight if I hadn't done 5 years something completely different. So it was my path, and it couldn't have gone another way of denying that until the point that I couldn't go on anymore.
Yeah.
So skilling yourself, if that's what feels right to you at this point, do that. You cannot, with your head, think, I need to work on myself. That will also not work. But if you put attention, bring in awareness of what feels right for you, what doesn't feel right, what gives you energy, and follow that. Try to follow that. But you need also sometimes the ways around that to learn that it's the truth.
Yeah.
And it's just my truth. It's not the
Right.
truth.
Yeah. I really love that insight, Pat, your insights about really following what gives you energy. And when when you were talking about that earlier, I love that concept so much. But then at the same time in my head, I thought, well, I was just thinking about a talk that I gave recently through Conscious Capitalism Los Angeles. And I was thinking, well, it took a lot of work to prepare the talk, right? It took energy to prepare all of that and get ready and all those things. And perhaps I was a little bit excited and kind of nervous or whatever when you're doing the whole thing. But when I went through and executed it, I checked in to see how I felt after. And that was definitely an energy inducing, process for me. And I can tell that I really, so it's like, yes, it took work. Yes, it took energy to prepare and get ready and all that good stuff. But doing it, the process of doing it and then completing was truly satisfactory. And it did give me a lot of energy. I wasn't like drained. It's so different when you can tell you're completely drained after something versus like truly satisfaction that that felt good, and then you wake up the next morning and I felt great the next morning. And that's how I could tell that it gave me more energy, even though it was still work. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a great example.
Yeah, so I love that insight, Patrick. Patrick, what are 2 traits for a conscious leader to embody today?
You have to help me with my English. What is a trait?
Your top 2 traits, qualities. Top 2 qualities for a conscious leader to embody.
Well, qualities, they are already inside you, so you don't have to teach yourself anything. It's more about unteaching yourself things that limit you. But I would say be alert for exactly that energy. Just bring alertness to that. Alertness to that you feel, this gains momentum. This is for me. This doesn't gain momentum. I feel tension. Probably I need to think about myself.
So really,
and learn
that
about
quality,
myself.
sorry to interrupt you, but essentially an intuition to being with yourself, like being able to see your own, to have your own intuition of what's, giving you energy and what's not. Yeah.
We all have these talents that are already authentic, like the way you are preparing and facilitating this talk is definitely something that comes natural to you. So this is a talent of you that's free, and you will see also that you're doing other things that feel stressed and you feel tensed. Just bring in the alertness that you see that, and that you don't ignore that. And when you feel flow, just go further in that direction. And if you feel the tension, then reflect on it. Is it truly my path, or is there some limiting belief that says that I have to do this?
Yeah.
And just this one quality of observing that is actually a practical key to become more conscious. And as you become more conscious, you will inspire your surroundings and lead in towards the direction that you want to go. And if you ask me too,
Yeah, you have one more.
so this one is related to consciousness, and
Yeah,
then the second one is related to purpose.
yeah,
Get that more clear and embrace that purpose. I've one tip since I made that shift from profit to purpose.
mm,
I don't have a to-do list anymore. I have a fun list. And the fun list is just all the things that come on my plate, that all the actions that I think I have to do. And I prioritize it based on two questions. The first question is, does it bring me closer to my purpose? And I rank all of them. And the one with the highest go on top, and the one with the lowest impact go at the bottom. And then, does it give me energy? If it's low, it comes here. If it's high, it comes here. And I only do the top right things here. Only do that. And that's truly embracing, because that is your purpose. And the more you do it, you always know what happens when you're in a meeting and you're doing those actions. What comes out of every meeting? More actions. But if it is there, then the actions that come out of it are more fun. They are even more close to your purpose and give you more energy. And that way, you discover very practically every day where your path is. And then the things that are next to it, so that are high impact on your purpose but don't give you energy, those are for your colleagues. And if you don't have a colleague that gets energy out of those, then you need to hire a colleague.
that's what was that was gonna be my question. It was high purpose, low energy. You get someone else to do it, right? That's essentially
Yes,
somebody that it
yes,
gives them energy, somebody that it's not, so difficult for them, because some things do need to happen, right, to fulfill
yes,
the purpose, but they don't give you as much energy. And so,
yes,
yeah, absolutely. And that's a good thing too, for entrepreneurs. It's something that sometimes can be tough, because that means that they have to invest and put out more money, or it means less income for them or whatever. And it's like, but that's not the point. If you stick to the purpose, at the end of the day, that money is going to flow anyway. So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, that's wonderful. Patrick, well, you truly are a conscious leader. So keep doing you. Really
I'm on
appreciate
the
what you
path and also have a lot of unconscious parts, but we take in that direction, yes.
Exactly, and by doing what you guys do, by investing in purpose-driven companies, by inspiring more leaders to be more conscious, and investing in these wonderful companies that are making the world a better place, it's a beautiful thing, and I commend you for it, and I appreciate you, and thank you so much for being on today, Patrick. Really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for having me and being able to share this. And we need a lot of people who also tap into this to create a better world
I
together.
agree. Thank you so much, Patrick.
You're welcome.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. It takes a lot to put these things together, but I truly love doing it. If you enjoyed this episode or the show in general, and you listen to it on audio podcast, please take some time to give it a review. It would really mean a lot to me. And if you watch the video, please go ahead and just click subscribe and share it with somebody that you think would like it. It would really mean the world to me, and it helps keep the show alive. Visit sebastiannaum.com for more content, and follow me on Instagram at sebnaum. That's SEBNAUM. Thanks again for spending your time with me. I know it is valuable. I hope you have a great rest of the day and week. Till next time.